Hello, welcome to today's session, which is all about Roman mosaics. Mosaics are patterns or pictures that are made up of tiny little coloured stones or tiles. The Romans had them to decorate their walls and floors. The tiles and the pieces that are used to make up the mosaics are known individually as tessera. When we talk about more than one, the plural is tesserae. In maths today, we also use a similar word known as tessellate. When shapes fit together without leaving any spaces or gaps, they are said to tessellate. Three shapes which easily tessellate are the regular triangles, squares, and hexagons. I say regular because they have to have all their sides equal. Okay, let's have a look at the mosaics we're going to make today. I hope you like my shoal of fish here. As you can see, they're not quite complete, but they give you an idea of ways that you could make some mosaics yourself. Okay, if we take a look, we can see that I've used a very simple shape. Those of you who know me know that I am not very good at drawing. So I've used a very simple shape of a fish that I was taught when I was a very young child. Here on the board, I've outlined it. So if you wanted to draw the same one as me, you simply start here at the top of its tail, come down, round, and up. I'm sure a lot of you can make much better pictures than me, but I would advise you to do something simple, either a simple pattern or a simple object shape, because it will look far more effective when you make your mosaic. When you start your mosaic, it's also important that any parts that you want to particularly outline or show should probably be done first. So for example, on my fish, you will see that on all of them, I've tried to give them an eye in a different colour. I've also given them a mouth in a different colour, and on some, I've also put bubbles. In order to make these different fish, I've got various techniques. And I've done this so that whatever you've got at home, hopefully you'll have something in your cupboards or drawers that you can use to make your own mosaics. This one is especially nice because it's shiny and sparkly, but I don't suppose that you've got a pot of these shapes, but you might have. This one, if you're really stuck for coloured paper, you can simply cut up old magazines. Check with your parents first that it's not their favourite magazine that you're cutting up. This one is made out of just coloured paper. These two are paint and crayons. Now, in order to get this effect, most of them follow the same principle. You start off with, in this case, coloured paper, which I cut into strips. I actually used several pages at the same time so that I didn't have to cut up every single paper. And then as you cut it, you can use a ruler and make them really, really neat. But let's face it, we want to get onto the art. So if you're fairly good at cutting, then just cut shapes of paper about that size. And then the fun part, once you've done all that, is you take your scissors again and cut them into squares or rectangles. Depending how big your picture is will depend on how big you make your squares. And then, as I did, I started by putting my eye and mouth in first, and then I carried on with my coloured paper. I also suggest that you don't use too many different colours. You may want to just stick to one main colour for the most part of the shape, and then just a different colour to make certain parts stand out and be obvious. Or you may want to, in the case of this one down here, you may want to use 2 different colours and alternate them. Okay, so that's how we do this one. That one's if you've already got some shapes that you can use and stick on. This one is if you really haven't got any coloured paper at all and you're going to cut up the magazines. Again, cut them into strip first and then into little squares which you can stick on. These two are slightly different. This one is made, as you can see, from paints. And in order to get that sort of tessellated effect where you're using the same shape repeatedly, I've used, oops, if I can just move it over, the end of 2 of my pens. I poured some yellow paint into my dish and some blue paint, and then quite simply I dipped the end of my pen into the paint and used it to make the prints. It was as easy as that. You might be able to use the end of a pencil. Again, check before you use anything and make sure you wipe it before somebody starts to use the pen or the pencil again, otherwise they're going to get paint all over them. This one here is with squared paper. Now those of you who do maths with me will already have a squared paper book, and you could take a piece of paper out of there. Perhaps get your parents to help you so that all the papers don't come loose once you start cutting it out. And this one is particularly useful because you've got the squares already printed there. And if you've got no paints, no pieces of paper, no glue, all you do simply with this is colour in the squares as you go along. And this is where I pointed out earlier, it's quite good to do an alternate colour. Again, I started with the mouth and the eye to make those stand out to begin with, and then I started working around the rest of it. Okay, now on the subject of squared paper, one last thing. Here you will see that I've got another piece out of one of the maths books, and I've done a border. For mine, I've done 4 squares in around the whole of it. So it's got 4 squares from the top, 4 from the bottom and 4 from the sides. And then I've started doing a pattern in black and white where I've done every other square in black. I started with wax crayon, but it wasn't very clear, so I went on to felt pen. The only problem with that is you're going to use a lot of felt pen, so you might be better with, say, pencil crayon, which will stand out and not use up all your felt pen. The middle bit here, you can either cut it out and then put it over a photograph, make it into a photo frame, or you could put it over a small mosaic. It could go that way as well. I don't think it would fit my fish there, but you get the idea. You could put it in its own frame. Or you could make your own mosaic on the inside in different colours. The reason I've done this is because a lot of the Roman mosaics had a black and white border similar to this to make the main design stand out. Okay, I think that's about everything for now. I did forget to mention all the things that you might use for making mosaics, but remember, you don't have to use all of them. Whatever's available, and I'm sure you'll come up with some much better designs than mine and lots of other ways of making mosaics. So the list here: paper, mixed, because it could be coloured, scissors, crayons, paints, glue, pencils, pens, and it's over to you now. Have fun making your mosaic, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.